We have a saying around here.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, no brains, no headache.
Well, hello, boys.
What's up? What's up?
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Welcome to No Brains, No Headache Podcast, episode 238. My name is Jordan Weichel. I'm going to be your host today, as always. Happy to be here. Damn glad to do it. Across from me, next to me, my co-host, confidant, longtime friend, fellow comedian. I call him Ongo. His name is Matt Cleary, Matty Applesauce. How are we doing today?
Honestly,
Please be honest.
I've been better.
Yeah, we had a doozy of a weekend, which doesn't happen too often
My nose hurts
anymore. Why does your nose hurt?
I think I'm just getting a cold.
Oh, terrific.
Yeah. Or it could have been the shitload of blow I did, but
Well, you know, tomato tomorrow, whatever it is.
nope, that's not the same.
But we're back in the studio for yet another episode. Looked at my notes prior, didn't have a single thing written down, so we are just going to wing it. Matt is the glue to this operation.
That's what usually gets us in trouble.
Sometimes I just run out of things to talk about. This is a weekly show. We've done 238 so far. We're coming up on 5 years.
I just forget to write stuff down. I'm like, oh, that'd be a good topic. Nothing.
Yeah, there was a few points throughout my week where I thought the same thing. I was like, oh, I should definitely write this down. We can discuss it on the podcast. I did not do that, but you know what? We're here. We're in the studio. We have pressed record, and that's all that matters for episode 238. Matt, are you wondering if we're getting too old to keep doing this?
Yeah.
Why do you think that?
It's getting harder and harder to drink and then be a functioning human adult.
Okay, when you say this, do you mean like partying and drinking? Yeah. Oh, you don't mean the podcast. I was like, this is pretty easy.
Oh, no, I could do this when I'm like, it's like Matt's brain dead. So we'll see you next week at No Brains, No Headache. I'm just sitting there drooling into a bucket.
Just in your hospital room, you've got a mic on your lifeless body. You can just hear the respirator going.
Exactly. And I do it to myself too. Like Friday night, I was like, me and Bertie Mac, we're going to go buy tickets because we're going to go see a Cubs game in late April. And so we're like, oh, let's just go to happy hour and have a couple beers and buy tickets. 9 beers later.
Did you actually buy tickets?
Yeah.
Okay, so at least you accomplished what you set out to do.
I figured it would take a lot longer, but it was 10 minutes. I'm like, well, tickets are bought, so...
Matt, this is modern day 2025. If you have the funds to do so, they make it pretty easy. What platform did you go through?
Just the MLB ticketing app.
I feel like that's the way you got to go.
Early in the season, yeah, because all the third-party ones are like... They were like $120 tickets, and then the third-party ones, those same tickets were over $300.
Okay, does it change later in the season if the team sucks?
Like if the team sucks, like the tickets I got to the Nationals last year, because both teams were out of the playoffs, they were like $60, and it was like second row right behind the dugout.
Yeah, I feel like it's pretty easy to obtain some sort of ticket, or like when you're planning a trip, you know, like you guys are. It's like, oh man, it's gonna take forever to find flights and hotels, and then like 30 minutes later, it's like, all right, everything's booked,
good to go. Yeah, like back in the day, I remember one time I went to Chicago with like my brother and mom and dad. My dad forgot the Bulls tickets at home, and that's when it was like paper tickets. We just had to buy new tickets.
Were the scalpers out front that actually had tickets on them?
No, the concierge guy at the hotel was just like, I got you, and he went and bought like 12th row tickets for probably an obscene amount of money.
He was like, I got you, and he just takes a $500 surcharge on top
of it.
I'm
sure he did. I mean, it was Derrick Rose's rookie year, and they were playing like the Suns, who had Steve Nash, Shaq, and Amari Stoudemire.
Wow.
So it was a pretty good, like, pretty close to sold out, and like you could see our nosebleed tickets that we left at home just empty up top.
Yeah, just 4 seats. It's like, I think those are ours up there.
I mean, ended up working out, but Yeah.
tonight's attendance, and it's like, well, did they double up on us, or are we missing the 4 the tickets that were left in Bismarck?
I do miss, like you said, the scalpers that had like 40 tickets.
And the code was, if they had a sign that says they need tickets, that meant they have. It was the most basic. This was no like, what are those guys called? The Navajo people that were
Indian code talkers.
They were like trying to figure out what people were saying in code, and in scalping world, it just means the opposite.
Could you imagine if we're like, oh, we're at war in like 2035, and they're like, grab all the old ticket scalpers you can. We need to decode some messages. We just confuse the Japanese because
we are not going to bomb Orlando, Florida. That means they are going to bomb.
Speaking of bombs, we were talking about Nick Castellanos and all of his shenanigans, and apparently he hit 2 home runs on the anniversary of Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Yeah, this summer, if that trend keeps up this summer when baseball eventually rolls around, we're getting close. I think it's not a bad idea if some sort of tragedy happens, some sort of terrorist attempt, maybe a school shooting, some sort of presidential figure or celebrity of some sort, if they pass away, perhaps get diagnosed with some sort of terminal illness. I would probably take the prop that day on Castellanos hitting a Yabo.
He literally was like 0 for 4 one day. Queen Elizabeth died. 10 minutes later, he hit a home run.
Gotta stay hot. I don't know, tragedy just strikes that guy and something gets inside his bloodstream that says, you know what, I'm going to send one about 450 feet out to the outfield. So.
I'm going to ruin this moment for this team that's trying to announce that their owner has cancer.
But you think we're getting too old to... Well, I think the issue is, and I got this talking to when I was a young lad from some adult figures in my life, and they said, well, Jordan, what your problem is, you were a binge drinker. And I had no defense to that at all. I was like, well, yeah. And even now, I've definitely cut back on the drinking. Let me explain here before you dissect what I just said. I don't drink as many days anymore. Now I'm really selective about my drinking, but I go hard in the paint when I do.
I was waiting for the but there. I don't really drink, but when I do, I kind of accidentally went on a mini bit of a bender, and like Wednesday open mic last week.
Thursday, the hockey game.
Yep. Friday, buying tickets for baseball, which apparently means drink 9 beers.
Matt likes to do this thing where he tries to trick himself, and after a few talls, he'll order a short, but then only have one short, and then the next one is just back to talls.
I'm also like the most susceptible to like, oh yeah, I'll get one more short, and they're like, make it a tall and leave his tab open. I'm like, I guess I'm gonna make it a tall and leave my tab open.
Love how you thought you paid for 2 tabs that night, and your total did not reflect that.
Jordan,
did you not notice that?
I had to poop, and I really wasn't worried about like what I was paying. It could have said I owe them $5,000, and I'd be like, cool, signing this, and I'm going and driving 6,000 miles per hour to get home, and then end up pooping my pants in the driveway.
You could have done the stadium sweep. Hit both bathrooms, which is... Yeah. It's a feat in itself.
It's actually not that hard.
No, it's 2 bathrooms.
And if you go there at like noon after a night of drinking, and you're like, it's pretty easy to go to both bathrooms.
Yeah, it's it's a daunting walk to go to the other one, though.
That's the worst, is because I always see someone I know, and they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, But
do you always get the feeling, too, that
people are judging you?
Well, that, like people walk in, or you walk in, and everybody knows exactly what you're doing. They have no clue what you're doing. They just think you're like another random guy coming into the bar. But when you're trying to complete the stadium sweep, hit up the old other side toilet, you walk in, and you immediately think that you're like, oh, man, they know. Yeah, and they're upset at me.
If I'm beelining right to the back to the can, they know. That's why I will say... having like a smartphone or something that can occupy your time on the can is way less of a giveaway. Because if I'm walking through with like a magazine, and they're like, "Oh, this guy's getting ready for war."
Yeah, you just have the newspaper tucked under your arm and a pencil in your ear, and it's like, this guy is gonna hit a couple of the crosswords.
Yeah, I'm gonna play Sudoku.
Yeah, you got something going on. But we actually had a show this last weekend. It was over at the Poppy Creative in Mandan, so thank you so much to them for having us. Thank you to everybody who came out and was in attendance for what I thought was a wonderful show. It was a great lineup. I was hosting. Matt opened. We had Nathan Rowe, Bethany Ablin. We did multiple shows. That was the first time we did 2 shows in one night. So that was a nice learning experience. I was happy to just kind of see how that was going to go and figure out how it went. And I think that's what Matt's referring to. Are we getting too old for this? Because, when we have shows, it's definitely it's a celebration. It's a fun time. So I like to make sure everybody's taken care of. They have what they need. They're comfortable. And we're just going to have a really good time. So, I got I catered in some sandwiches. I also picked up 30 beers. I got some shots. We finished 30 beers
before the first show was over,
which is impressive because I feel like it was only me and you kind of really digging at those. And then it doesn't help that I invited like everybody that I knew over to the green room and just fed them beers as well. But then I get asked if I want more Busch Light, and I'm like, yeah, I guess so. Another 30 rack arrives, and then that was gone by like midnight, I feel.
Yeah.
So there was 60 beers consumed, as well as other things. People brought other things as well. And you might be onto something there. I definitely noticed that my body just can't handle it anymore. But that's what I was trying to say earlier is I'm very selective about my drinking days. But when I do drink, it's like my body weight and then some.
Yeah, well, and it doesn't help that like, oh, should we go get breakfast the next morning? And then the breakfast place we were going to go to was crowded, so we ended up just going to a bar.
Okay, first 2 things. First of all, the breakfast place we went to had drinks and that I was fully planning on getting.
Oh, okay.
Second of all, we noticed that the parking lot, which is teeny, was full, and that was enough for us to be like, you know what, we're just going to find somewhere else. It's like when you come up to a parking spot and you try to parallel in it. Clearly enough space for you to get in it, and you like can't figure it out after like 2 attempts. You're like, you know what, I'm just going to have to go around and find somewhere else. Didn't take us a whole lot to say no to the breakfast place.
When we were going to pick up stuff from the venue the next day, and I was saving that parking spot, how long were you there until you honked at me to move my car?
Not very. I just kind of rolled up. I noticed you didn't notice me, so then I honked. I would have honked a lot sooner if there was more oncoming traffic, but the lane was clear behind me.
I was not paying attention at all.
Yeah, you're probably on your phone, like checking out like Instagram or something.
Yeah, I just get sucked into Instagram. We're like, wow, that chick is huge. Never mind.
That chick is huge. It's like, oh shit, I gotta get going.
Oh, I saw the tugboat Taylor Swift chick. I gotta send that to Jordan, and as Jordan's just laying on his horn to get me to move.
Yeah, no, that was a really fun time, and I think everything came together well. I keep saying to you, when we first started doing shows, it seemed like such a daunting task to set up because like we didn't know what we were doing. You didn't want to forget anything, and there's a lot of little details and logistics that go into it. Now it's pretty straightforward. It's like, all right, start grabbing shit, unload, and then just start setting up stuff. You did a great job this time. I didn't have to yell at you. I didn't yell at you, but I set the stickers on the merch table for them to get set out, and then I come back a little later, and you put the stickers back in the box, like where I brought them out from. I'm like, okay, Matt, the reason I set these out was so you can...
I didn't want anyone stealing them.
Oh my gosh. I gave away like several.
In this climate, you never know with the people coming to our shows.
Well, and I do get pretty generous after a show. I'm just like grateful that people show up. And yeah, there was a guy who wanted a t-shirt, and he whipped out $8 from his wallet. And I was like, yeah, that works for me. Yep. Get the hell out of here. Here's your t-shirt. Please leave. But no, we had a really fun time. So yeah, thank you again to the venue and to all of the guests that came, our comedians from Fargo. I hope they had a good time. I did the classic, catered those sandwiches, and then I didn't eat one myself. Really selfless of me.
I ate one over a garbage can before anyone was there.
Yeah, I
And
was
you caught
unloading
me.
the vehicle, and I come back in, and Matt is standing over a garbage can eating a sandwich. And
I was trying to get it all hogged down before you came back.
no.
And then I was like, oh crap, I didn't shut the box all the way. He's going to know. And then you walked in the door and I just had a mouthful of sandwich.
Yeah, what can you do? Anything stand out from the show? I know on the second show you did a little crowd work that you found pretty entertaining.
Oh, I honestly, like, whatever. I was just like, I asked the girl what she normally drinks. And I was going to say the same thing regardless of what she said. And she was like, I love rum and Coke. And I was like, oh, so you're a fucking crazy person. And then her boyfriend that she was with just couldn't stop laughing at that and like kept like poking her.
Yeah. Yeah, I know the second show definitely had the home crowd there, which always makes it tough for me because it's hard to even like look people in the face when you know them and you're trying to like get through a joke.
Yeah.
And I did almost fall. I did start calling people out in the crowd like I've been known to do after a few drinks, but I caught myself and tried to lay off. But
I tried to lay off just 20 minutes later, just still going through them.
Well, and it's such a intimate venue. It's a smaller room. So like you would say a joke and then they would just like say a comment and you could clearly hear them. So you would just clap back with whatever they said. And that's pretty much what I was doing.
Someone asked me, and I was in my sarcastic, witty mood. They're like, hey, does this place have a bathroom? And I was like, no, you have to go use the bars next door. And they're like, oh, okay. And turn around. I'm like, no, there's like right back there. There's multiple bathrooms.
Yeah, that was a tough one for sure. But we had a good time. We drank a ton of beers. And then even the next day, how many beers did we have at lunch? Probably like 3 or 4.
Yeah, I think I had 3.
They were going down good.
Yeah, I was one of almost the worst hamburger I've ever eaten.
Yeah, well, when they offer you the $9.99 burger as part of the special that day,
They kind of
Matt and
reminded
I
me
jump on
of
it.
the boiled ones we had in grade school that like came out of like the giant pan that were just like, oh, here's your steamed burger that tastes like.
Well, right when they came out, I looked at you and I was like, their patties are frozen when it's just a perfect circle that is just like perfectly.
They donate them to the youth hockey teams so they can use them as pucks during practice.
Pretty much. But we had a fun time and we survived yet another show. So nothing on the schedule yet, I guess. Matt, you're at Laughing Sun.
Yeah, if you're listening to this today, I will be at Laughing Sun Brewery at some
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. Yeah, I totally knew that.
I'll try my best to do it. I have a pretty large meeting in my life coming up tomorrow. Some exciting stuff, some parts of business that I've never done before, but I'm excited to learn about it and see what happens.
He's becoming a full-on prostitute tomorrow.
When people say that, I might lose my job or what would I do for work? They're like, well, I could prostitute myself. It's like, how much you charging?
Yeah, some people, they could. Some people, no, they can't.
Like, I should be a prostitute. It's like, you had my curiosity. Now you have my attention. How much to bang?
Do you ever get like, you're like sitting at a bar with a group of people and you're really just kind of sitting there not paying attention? And then someone says something like, yeah, I couldn't get the catnip off my anal beads. And then you're like, what the f?
Yeah, you're just not paying attention to the conversation whatsoever. Well, the other day we were out and about and we were quoting the movie Almost Heroes.
Oh my God.
It was classic. Matt and I and another friend, Bertie Mac. It was the classic conversation where we're not even communicating with normal words. We're communicating with the quotes from the movie.
And in no chronological order of the movie.
We were jumping all around, but there's us 3 and then a 4th at the table who had never seen this movie. And I was like, he must be so confused now because we were just quoting random lines out of Almost Heroes.
Pretty much the next 2 days, I just talked about Almost Heroes all the time, and a surprising number of people have not seen that movie.
than a taste, it shall be.
And that's pretty much what we did, and then ended up sleeping in a barn.
Wait, what?
He ends up sleeping in a barn.
Yeah.
Jordan hasn't seen the movie either. So
I have seen the movie, Matt. We watched it a lot in our childhood. Matt and I watched Beverly Hills Ninja so much on the VHS that we broke the VHS. Like, it just got worn down, and one day it stopped working. Probably the worst day of third grade, I would say.
Do you remember you had to rewind your VHSs before you took them back to Blockbuster?
Otherwise, they would charge you.
Otherwise,
See, I didn't come from a Blockbuster family. I came from like the local movie store family, and so I guess the Weichels are just decent human beings, and we usually just rewound them anyway.
Yeah, I don't think I ever did.
They made little devices, little machines that were literally VHS rewinders, because they would just rip them back in record time.
I remember my grandpa had this VHS player that was a top loading one, and it got to the point where it was so old and just like a gross machine. You'd put a VHS in and you would just see it, like the film coming out of the side of it, like it would just destroy it.
Yeah, at my one grandma's place, she lived out on a farm, and your options were Patch Adams with Robin Williams,
not bad,
or Twister.
I think I'm watching Twister 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, you can sprinkle in the Patch Adams, which is still like a funny movie, a lot of sick kids. But yeah, there's like a movie with Julia Roberts and like Susan Sarandon.
Pretty Woman?
No, I think it's called like Stepmom or something like that. Just a greasy movie.
That could be Stepmom, and we just immediately get into porn.
Yeah. Well, this is a 1998 film. Is that Susan Sarandon? Yeah, okay.
It's literally called Stepmom.
Yeah. Pretty much Julia Roberts is just plowing her ex-husband, and then she ends up getting cancer. And it's just a whole thing. Like, a kid breaks his arm, and you would think that, like, the two towers got hit by terrorists. Like, all right, we just need to chill out a little bit. But, yeah. What do you know? Julia Roberts just... Directed by Chris Columbus. Interesting.
One of my coworkers was like, can you take a look at this email? I think it's a scam. And I was like, yeah, it's definitely a scam. Like, how can you tell? I'm like, the guy's name is Mark Twain.
Dude, we are No Brains, No Headache Facebook. I don't know if you've noticed. We have gotten inundated with random accounts trying to tell us that we are like violated some policy and that our page is going to end. Have you seen those?
Yeah.
Yeah, and apparently on Facebook, on Meta, like there's no way to like report spam. So you have to go to their profile, and then there's like a spot where it's like, something's wrong, and you click on that, and it's like harassment acting to be like another business or something. Yeah. There's no like, this is spam, please make it stop button. So yeah, I'm like, these people are acting like they're like Facebook should take concern to this. They are acting like they're Facebook.
Yeah, it's stupid.
But what can you do? What can you do? Here we go again on some obscure 90s movies that probably nobody has ever seen before. But I guess, should we get into the show?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's party.
Would you marry Mike Tyson's daughter for $10 million?
I don't know. What does she look like?
Mike Tyson, but a girl.
Probably not. I'm a touch racist, so probably not. What's Exodus? Mikey?
Mikey.
Mulan?
Mikey's the one that he's offering.
He's offering her?
Yeah.
Oh my God, who's that ogre?
It's Mike Tyson, but a girl.
Where's the images? Where do we go here? Mikey Lorna Tyson. Is that her?
Yep.
This is her, Matt.
Yep.
Oh my God. Let's just say if the Minnesota Vikings still have interior offensive lineman issues this season.
She has a #1 song, though.
What is it called? I eat everything in sight. Who's that chick?
Mike Tyson's ex-wife.
Oh. I would probably take a run at her. No, I wouldn't marry Mike for $10 million. No, because then if I divorce her, half that money's gone anyway. Minus the taxes? No.
All I'm saying is I'm not really living a great life now. $10 million and a school bus of a human being could really do me good.
I mean, maybe I should consider it because I'm pretty poor and lonely, and I just don't want to live my life like this anymore. I'm in a rut where it seems like every woman that I'm interested in, they're like, "You're a nice guy."
They must not know you very well.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody recently. You'll love this, and I told them about Nad Raj.
Oh yeah.
But they thought I said Mad Raj, and I was like, wait, that's actually way better. So we may have to rebrand my alter ego to Mad Raj. Because they're like, I want to see Mad Raj, and I was like, you do not want to see Mad Raj.
It's actually quite funny when you're not on the receiving end of it.
Like at the Belle Mayhew show, when you're like, should we put up the little frame thing? I'm like, you could have done that while you're standing around.
Oh, there he is.
Well, that one was a little bit more hectic of a show. Every show is the same in the sense of like we get there and I have 3 different people asking me 3 different questions all at the same time.
That's a real trigger for you.
Well, it's like, okay, just let me breathe for a second. I'm like trying to take care of this over here. We got stuff
and then
over
someone's
there.
like, hey, Jordan, you know where an outlet for a phone is? And you're like, what the fuck?
Well, it's always the worst, too, when there was one comedian in particular, I don't want to say names, Blaze Kautzman, shows up to a show, doesn't have a phone charger. Then he had, like, the new iPhone that required because I had a charger. I'm like, oh, here you go. And he's like,
sorry, we're not rich, Blaze.
yeah. He's like, no, I actually needed the different charger. And I was like, don't you think if you have a very specific phone charger that you should bring it? Apparently not.
The new iPhone hasn't made it to Bismarck yet, so that's even harder.
Yeah, we have another 2.5 years until that makes it to Bismarck, just like everything else.
Yeah, I'm still not like, I'm mad about it, but I'm like, why we don't have a Sonic yet? But I would never go there.
No, I wouldn't go to Sonic.
Their slushies are pretty good, but so is like literally every gas station slushies.
You know you're in Bismarck, North Dakota when people get rock hard for a Fleet Farm opening up.
Oh yeah, it is. They're like, Fleet Farm has the best gas, and it's like,
oh, okay, I'm gonna stop you right there.
are gas stations really getting like different gas, or is it the same gas that's just?
Oh, dude, I was driving around the pickup the other day with my gas tank. I filled up at the station, did not put the cap on, and I drove like all the way across town. And I walked out. I was like, "Oh!"
What does it? It still hangs there, doesn't it?
Yeah, unlike mine, and that my gas cap that is in Wilton, North Dakota, somewhere. And then
in a puddle of piss.
The day I realized that my gas cap was missing, I found another gas cap laying in the parking lot of that gas station.
We were talking about,
what are the chances?
We were talking about a couple of days. I'm like, well, does it fit? You're like, kinda.
It screws on. It stays in there.
Oh, what was I
Just
going
have to go to O'Reilly Auto Parts and order a $16 gas cap. Really nickeling and diming me. How am I supposed to make it in this world?
So, you'll love this. You know how I'm a pretty jumpy dude?
Yeah, I walked into the studio earlier and got you. Then again, you were trying to crank one out, and that was awkward.
Yeah, much like me jerking off, me trying to finish that sandwich before Jordan came back in. We've all been there. But so I filled up gas, and I didn't put my gas cap on, and I didn't close my gas
Damn it!
thingy.
Rim jobs are free today.
And I'm driving out, and my gas thing is wide open, and I'm sitting at a light, and all of a sudden someone knocks on my window, and I'm like,
they walked up to your window. Don't do that. You can honk if you want, but
I wouldn't have known if they were honking. It'd be like, because I'm ugly.
They're trying to like tell you your gas cap's off, and you're like, fuck you.
It's a cardigan. Yeah, but I was like, and then he's like, I like rolled down my window just like a tiny bit, and he's like, "Your gas cap's open." I was like, "Oh, I knew that."
I don't have any fucking change. Leave me alone.
Yeah. You can wash my window, but I'm not giving you anybody.
Yeah, you are a pretty jumpy dude. If I was thinking of this the other day, like about there's a weird guy I know, and I was like, if he wasn't a weird guy, he'd be a pretty weird guy.
Remember when we were trying to plan a memorial fun run for someone we went to high school with, and they're still very much alive?
Wait, we stopped planning that?
We didn't really we got a pretty good name on it.
Yeah, I don't want to get into it right now.
We'll wait till he dies, and then we'll announce the fun run, but...
Yeah, it's just like, wow, were you guys really close? No, Matt and I just made fun of him behind his back, and then he passed away, so I felt bad.
5 minutes after he dies, we come out with this huge pre-made sign that's like, all right, the fun run will be tomorrow. It's like, how'd you guys plan this? So it's like, oh, we've been locked and loaded. I get Google alerts for this stuff.
Yeah, we also came up and we decided recently that if Matt dies, I'm immediately coming over to the studio and just ransacking the place.
And
I don't want to get into the the lowercase J's and T's, of what's going to happen.
And if Jordan dies, I'm supposed to just go clear his browsing history.
Yes, that is very much needed. Boy, would I hate for my family to see that. They're just like,
counterclockwise rim job.
huge black chick, small Asian man.
Mike Tyson's daughter naked.
Oh my goodness.
Just looks like Grimace.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack right there, and I'm not sure if I'm quite ready to get into it. But we got March right around the corner. You excited about that?
Is Kansas even going to make the tournament?
Dude, I don't know. I'm the worst college basketball fan ever. I say I'm a Kansas fan. I could name one person on the team.
And it's because he's in his 7th year of eligibility.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And the best player on the team or one of them. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like back in the day when I could name everybody, but I don't know. Are they not going to make it? Are they out of the top 25?
Mm-hmm. For the first time in 80 polls. So like 2 years.
I had 80 polls on Saturday night, if you know what I mean.
For whatever reason, I was drinking the Deschutes IPA, and on stage I said I was going to Deschutes myself in the head.
Well, did you?
No, it was actually a pretty good beer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but we just blasted through the beers.
I think it's
tasted
because...
so good.
Okay, let me hit you with this. What's better, Bush Peach or Bush Apple?
Peach.
Okay.
And the funny thing is,
I would have said apple right away after trying peach, but after drinking 1, 2, or 400 of them on Saturday, Bush Peach is definitely better.
Well, and I bought that 30 rack because it's like on sale for literally $10, and I was like, nobody's gonna know. One of our friends comes into the green room. They're like, "Oh, the $10 30 rack, huh?" I'm like, "God damn it, keep it down, man! You're making me look cheap over here."
Yeah, we spent $120 on sandwiches. We had to skimp somewhere.
It was $65, and I didn't even eat a sandwich. But that's not what it's about, Matt. It's providing your friends and your colleagues with an experience that they'll never forget. Unless they black out, then they're gonna forget.
Yeah.
Which, at the end of the night, I walked to Mandan Matt's house with him, and it's literally like 3 blocks. We got to an intersection, and we had to take a left, and I just started walking, kept walking straight. And he's like, "Oh, Jordan, we got to go over here." I was like, "Oh, yeah." Like, I couldn't figure out where we were in downtown Mandan.
Which is a pretty easy place to traverse.
Oh, it's so easy.
So one of my old roommates, one time he was wearing a banana costume, and he got really mad at us when we were walking downtown. So he was a street down. And so every time we'd cross the street, we'd look down a street and we'd just see a banana walking.
Is that when he was smoking a cigarette?
Yeah, and it was my banana costume, and I just had to throw it away because it smelled so much like cigarettes and had burns all over it.
Yeah, usually like once a summer, I have 2 banana costumes currently. Why?
You never know.
You never know. But once a summer up at the lake cabin, I like to get hammered drunk and then go on the jet ski with the banana costume and just rip around the lake. People love it.
That's kind of awesome.
People
also
love it.
a little illegal, but
I do it for the kids.
I do it for the kids as you just plow through a pontoon full of people.
I'm not that bad of a jet ski driver, but
I am.
yeah, you're pretty terrible.
Yeah, I got a bad track record.
Well, what else do we got on episode 238?
Okay, let me hit you with this. I came up with this would you rather. Would you rather have free healthcare or free YouTube TV, Hulu, Netflix, and Amazon Prime?
Probably the second one.
I think most of America would too, as well.
Although I finally paid my health insurance bill because I felt like I was a free agent there for a little bit.
Well, didn't you have it and then the company went under? So you're just like, I guess I don't have health insurance anymore.
I think that was a few years ago when I was a
yeah.
free agent. This was just this past year. So I was like filling out the healthcare form or whatever. And then we get to the question of like, how much do you make? And I misread the question. I thought they were going to go, because I own 2 businesses. I also have a part-time job and just do all sorts of things to, do what I have to do. So I thought that I thought we were individually going to go through like each job and how much I make. So I went with one and it was like under $1,000 a month because I thought we were going to keep going. I'm like, well, it's just a part-time gig. It's like some extra cash. Nope. They meant like in total. Well, and it's so stupid because they act as if you only have one job. You only do one thing on that form. So I started filling it out. I started with that one, thought I was going to fill out like other ones and then add it all up. It's like, here's how much I make here, and here, add it all up. Like that's like my monthly income. Boy, was I wrong. And then like they sent me an email saying how like the state needs to review my application because I'm like borderline retarded. And I'm like, so then I just got a heap of mail. And let's just say it costs about 7 times as much as I was paying last year. And I was like, okay, what happened here? I want to go back to the cheap stuff.
Like, okay, if a company gets bigger and bigger, you'd think that eventually you'd hit like a point where you're paying so much for like a group policy for all your employees that it would get cheaper. It never does. Healthcare just keeps going up and up.
That also,
same does streaming services. So I might actually take the streaming services.
But that's confusing too, because as a rather healthy young man who pays for his own healthcare out of his own pocket, like I still don't understand healthcare.
No.
I'll just tell you straight. But I don't I don't utilize it at all. I have healthcare in the event I just get T-boned by a Dodge Ram and I'm on life support in the hospital, so I don't
If I drive my banana
hard.
costume self through a pontoon of people.
Yeah, so how does that work? If I get boned hard, T-boned by a large diesel truck, do they have to pay for all my shit, or am I just shit out of luck?
More than likely, but it'll be hung up in court for a while.
Where it's like, dude, you blew 4 times the legal limit, and Jordan is barely... Matt's still recording the podcast in his ICU room. He's not saying a word.
Jordan gets out some mumbles where I'll say something, but his jaw's wired shut. So the last couple episodes have been pretty bad.
Pretty bleak.
I went to the dentist like 5 years ago. I don't know if you remember that. I think I complained about it on the podcast. So I just had to spend like $4,200.
Yeah. Oh, I remember. And I know the dentist you speak of.
And so I was like, fuck them. I'm never going back to them. Any person that's like, I need to go to a dentist, I'm like, I'll tell you where not to go.
Yeah.
And I went to another dentist that was recommended to me. And I got like pretty much the same thing done. I had like 6 cavities. And what cost me $4,200, they're like $280.
You're like,
And I was
deal.
like, I just got financially word that rhymes with grape by a dentist.
That happens. They're all cocksuckers too.
And I see these people at golf tournaments and I'm like, fucking goddamn Jews.
Remember when you made me go bankrupt, you dick? I'm sorry I didn't brush my teeth as much as I should.
Yeah. And I love how you're like, it most still be $2,100. Okay. Then double that. And then also we are going to run you over with my probably Ford Bronco or something gay like that.
the other day there was one of our friends just asked me if I floss often, and I was like, no, I'm not gay. And then they're like, oh, I started flossing recently, and I was just like, okay, cool.
Yeah, fucking lose my number.
Yeah, this is the last time we're hanging out, so thank you for the
I go to the
information.
dentist, and my teeth are so close together that they have to do like the thing where they have a special tool and like stick it in, then pull it out. I can't do that at home.
There's blood everywhere.
Yeah, I like unless I want to remove teeth, I can't floss.
I don't. You know, that's a good question you asked. The would you rather? YouTube TV though.
That's expensive. It's like
Aren't they getting rid of CBS Sports before March Madness?
they're getting rid of like it's a ton of them. It's like CBS, Paramount. It's
Just
like
go
10,
to a bar like a normal person and make
it's-
them pay for it.
it's like 10 or 12 different pretty prominent channels that they're getting rid of.
Honestly, I managed to go the entire football season. I think out of like the 17 weeks, I probably watched Red Zone like religiously for like 14 of them. Illegally streamed them every time.
Yeah, it's like once you find a good illegally streaming site, you're just like,
Well, and earlier in the season, I was up at the lake cabin for a lot of Sundays. So I would just put my phone on the charger, stream it from my phone to the TV.
yeah.
And then I had it all worked out because I wanted to see my fantasy football scores. I whipped out the computer, had the live tracker, so I didn't have to constantly check my phone. But that was tough too because the live tracker would like tell you that one of your guys had a touchdown or like a huge play, and then it would come up on Red Zone. You're like, God damn it! I wanted the surprise effect.
Yeah, I don't like Red Zone. It's too much.
Yeah, well, you don't like a lot of things. You're a Panthers fan. You don't even watch their games.
Yeah, well, you're a Kansas fan and you don't even watch their games.
I think fan is a pretty loose term, and it's very difficult to keep track of all these different things. Especially like the time of the year doesn't help either because men's college basketball like starts, what is it, like November, October, or something like that?
Early November, late October.
I'm fully torqued on football.
Yeah.
Here's two teams I actually truly care about in my life. The Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Cubs. Then there's 50 feet of shit. I even try to say I'm a UND hockey fan because I attended the University of North Dakota. Couldn't name you one player. Have no idea how they're... I just hear people bitch about them like when they have a shitty weekend series.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
It's like, how'd we split with Miami of Ohio? And it's like, UND played this weekend.
Yeah, I have no... They're like... I'm like, what are you up to tonight? Oh, we're watching the UND hockey game. I'm like, oh, yeah, it's Friday.
Remember when we went to a UND hockey game and you just ditched me?
Oh, in Vegas?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that.
I had so many soft pretzels over a 4-day period.
Weren't you on a bunch of edibles?
No, I found some weed laying in the street, and so I had that. But
Yeah, you were stoned.
yeah, well, I ate a bunch of popcorn because
That was a good play on your part because the drinks would cost.
it was like $43 for a drink.
Okay, I ditched you to go see my uncle that I don't see very often, and he bought me a $35 whiskey Coke. Thank you.
God, the markups on those are just...
Yeah, well, he got my brother, myself, and him a drink, and he's like, "This one's on me," and it was like $110, and I was like, "Yeah, that's right."
Or when we were at Fremont Street, and the person we were with, she's like, "I'll get the first round," and she like had no idea how many people were there, and she's like, 18 vodka Red Bulls, and I think I drank 9 of the vodka Red Bulls.
Yeah, Matt was so drunk that
I was like a dog you attached to a telephone pole, and then you come back like an hour later, and he's still there.
Yeah, he was sitting at like a slot machine. It was just tanked, and we wanted to like go outside and watch a concert, so we ditched you there too. And then thank God, like 3 hours later, we came back and you were still in the same spot.
I'm hitting the button trying to play the slot machine. There's just no money in it. I remember I played 3-card poker a lot, and I went up to the 3-card poker table and I like put money in, and I'm like, I don't know the rules anymore.
You tried to tell us that it was some sort of Russian gambling game, and it turns out it was just 3-card poker.
What kind of game is this?
Yeah, we should fire up some poker soon.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, the streaming services are good. I've been big on just like YouTube lately. This isn't on YouTube, it's actually on Amazon. And
If you say Beast Games, I'm gonna murder myself.
I started watching Beast Games.
Oh my god.
Okay, here's what happened. Can you at least hear me out? All right, I will. You grabbing a diet soda? Yeah, give me you know what the heck? Give me another bark so I'm not driving. Is there any caffeine in this? Yes. Turns out I'm very susceptible to caffeine. The other day at the bar when they kept bringing me Diet Cokes like they're going out of style, I could not sleep that night. Yeah. I feel like I just aged myself with that statement. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Okay, hear me out, Matt. So I've also been watching on Amazon Prime. It's called Pop Culture Jeopardy.
With Travis Kelce?
No, Colin Jost is the host.
Oh, okay.
Jost the host.
Oh, no, Travis Kelce does the
If Travis Kelce was doing it, Matt, I would have thrown my TV out of my fourth story window.
Okay, well, you said you're watching Beast Games and...
Okay, let me explain myself. Jeez Louise. So I was watching...
Whatever you say, I'm not going to be like, oh, yeah, that's a good excuse. Like, you're just going to ram into a wall here.
Well, by the way, spoiler alert, I'm probably going to ruin some things about Beast Games.
Oh, shucks.
I was watching Pop Culture Jeopardy. I kind of dozed off, and I didn't realize that I was all caught up on Pop Culture Jeopardy, because now I'm up to the point where they have like new episodes weekly or something. So that episode ended, and I was sleeping on the old recliner chair, and then it automatically just starts playing Beast Games, and I wake up, and I'm at the point of that nap, where like you're just so tired, you don't really care what you're watching, you're just like don't want to move and trying to like gain any sort of consciousness whatsoever. Well, Beast Games is actually pretty interesting. Started off with 1,000 people, which the logistics behind this have got to be just ridiculous. I want to say about 30% of the field was gone before they even left like the first warehouse. And mind you, these are mostly strangers that don't know each other. Like there was one couple.
I met someone that was on Beast Games.
Did you actually?
Mm-hmm. She was a comedian. She did a show at a venue here that's really good about announcing their comedians. And I met her, and she got eliminated on the one that you fall into the pit.
Yeah, the very first elimination.
Yep.
Well, I get it. It's a game of like manipulation and just, I don't know, trying to see what crazy shit people will do. The first thing he says, he's like, he offers like money to people, but then they can win the money, but everybody in the row gets eliminated. Boom. Right off the bat, people are just taking the cash offer, and then people are just getting eliminated for not even like doing anything. And these people have just met each other, and they are bawling their eyes out. Like Beast Games has the most crying in a show I've ever seen.
So from the TikToks that I've seen, they just have like the money stacked up like Dark Knight style, right?
Yeah, it's in the center, and it's $5 million to the winner. I haven't finished it yet, but
I want to set it on fire. The first episode.
You should set it on fire, but be like, make them fight the fire, but with no like firefighting equipment. Like they have to like use themselves, so people are like jumping into a fire to stop it.
But then it comes murder on my part.
Does it?
Maybe, I don't know.
They did it willingly. If anything, it's manslaughter. But there's also another point they get to where I can't remember what the numbers were at. Let's just say a couple hundred, and they each elected a captain. And Mr. Beast was very clearly, he's like, pick, the strongest people, not physically strongest, like mentally strongest people that you have that won't turn their back on you, because I'm going to offer them an absurd amount of money. So these 4 teams send up 4 captains. Mr. Beast offers them up to $1 million, and nobody takes it. It's just absolutely ridiculous. There's another guy on the show who's like way too into Jesus. One of those people who constantly like he's at one point he like gets to like pick like 5 people to move on, and he's like, "Hold on, give me some space. I'm gonna pray on it." And he's on his hands and knees, and like everybody's waiting on him, and he's praying on it. He just picks like 5 dudes that were his friends. He's like, "These people are the most worthy, and that's what God told me to do." It's like, did he do that?
Nothing you've said has given me any inkling that I want to watch this show.
That's fine. I actually got pretty hooked on it. Binged it for a while. But yeah, just a lot of crying. A lot of people like that have just met people, and they're like, "This guy's my best friend." The very next challenge, are like, "Eliminated!" Like, get the fuck out of here.
I love how like people will be like, "We've made lifelong friendships here." It's like, "How long have you been here?" 36 hours. It's like, okie dokie.
Or there's a lot of challenges or parts of the show where he just like lets people eliminate themselves and sacrifice themselves, and people are like, "Yeah, I think it's my time to go." And it's like, you didn't even like do anything to get eliminated. You just let Mr. Beast manipulate you into eliminating yourself from the show, which is like, why are you on there in the first place? Ridiculous. Also been watching Surviving Barstool. Came out with their season 3 on YouTube. It wasn't available prior. Oh man, good show. Absolutely love the challenges on that one. And then they also have a series called Bald Stool, where the Wonton Don takes several of his employees and stoolies and take them to Turkey to get hair transplants. Shit's wild.
You can get like anything done in Turkey for like
A fraction of the cost.
$600.
Yeah, Eddie gets just like a general health scan that apparently costs tens of thousands of dollars in America, but in Turkey, it's just like pennies on the dollar. And apparently, I don't know what the details are, but the way they make it sound, it's like they can predict if you're going to get like cancer or not.
I wouldn't want to get that. I would be like, "You're in terrible health."
Well, I think that's the idea.
I mean, Eddie's fat as shit, so.
Oh, yeah. That probably doesn't help, but yeah, I knew that you were going to get upset about me. But I didn't like purposely, blatantly, willingly click on Beast Games and start watching it. It just started playing once I finished my Pop Culture Jeopardy episode and was sleeping.
Yesterday, I tried to watch the murder documentary on Gabby Petito.
Yeah.
Do you know that story?
I do, and I saw that it's available on Netflix, and
Yeah.
I've been thinking about watching it.
But every time I started it twice yesterday. Technically watched it twice, but fell asleep immediately both times. Third time's the charm. Last night I finished it.
Is it a doozy?
I mean, there's nothing really that I didn't already know. The Brian, her boyfriend, who ended up killing her, is the biggest moron on the planet. He's like, I flew home because she was mad at me and we needed a break. And they're like, the van's in the driveway. He's like, I drove it home. He's like, he's not talking to anyone right now. And you're like, why not? And they're like, he just doesn't want to. And it's like, oh, okay.
Okay, so he definitely murdered her.
Yeah, it's like, you got to talk to his attorney. And it's like, okay. And you know what innocent people do?
Not much of a poker player.
Yeah, you know what innocent people do? Drive out to the woods and kill themselves.
Tough break.
Yeah, he was just a real sack of shit.
Yikes. Yeah, no, I did see like a small portion of that when somebody else was watching it and I was there, but yeah, it's really unfortunate. You have all these people that are in toxic relationships, and I'm a nice guy. I can't even get a text back, so I guess, whatever. Nice guys finish last, and toxic guys kill their girlfriends and then themselves in the Everglades, so.
Yeah, that guy sucked. His parents sucked, too. The whole family sucked.
That adds up. Think we should get him on the pod?
He's super dead.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Is that a no?
Even before when he was alive, it would have been a terrible interview.
What would have been worse, him or the owner of Punxsutawney Pizza?
That guy's my boy.
Just kidding. He was a great interview. We had a good time with him. Matt, let's get into your final segment, the classic, wait, you can't do that. What do we have this week for this one?
All right, wait, you can't do that. Man chokes girlfriend after she claimed his fart smelled terrible. Christopher Ragsdall. This is in Wichita Falls, which I believe is Kansas.
Let's just go with it.
Choked his girlfriend after she was complaining that his fart smelled horrible.
Like to death? He choked her to death?
No, I think she didn't die.
I was about to say, it was getting pretty dark with the Gabby Petito thing and now this.
Yeah. He also headbutted her. I mean, this could... Imagine how bad that fart had to smell.
See, that's why we have the rule in the studio, no farting in the studio. I don't want one of us to choke the other person out because we're pissed off. Mad Rod's going to come out.
I mean, it's a short one. Basically, he farted. She said it smelled bad. He choked her, then headbutted her. She left, called her friend. They called the police. He got arrested.
What kind of charges is he facing?
Domestic violence, assault. Is charged with assault, family violence.
Now, does this article say, what he had to eat prior in the day or any sort of health issues?
What if they just shit on Taco Bell? It's like the man had Taco Bell and had uncontrollable gas.
I'm just saying, if the journalist of this article, really did their job correctly, they would figure out, what was in his system. And then maybe the rest of us as society, we could be better as a result.
Maybe. Did you hear about those two homeless guys that stole a winning lottery ticket?
Where did they steal it from?
Some guy's car. They stole lottery tickets, ended up being a $533,000 winner. And now these two homeless guys are on the run. And the guy's like, just give it back to me and we'll split it 50-50. And the homeless people haven't come forward. Mainly because they probably don't have cell phones. But
I was about to say, how are they keeping up with all this information?
actually, a lot of homeless people have cell phones. The one homeless guy that I walk by all the time, suitcase guy,
Yeah.
he's always eating peanut butter and
Where's he getting the peanut butter from?
smoking cigarettes. He always does individual serving ones. I think he must go to a hotel or something and just raid the concierge breakfast.
I mean, when you're hungry, peanut butter is a great, easy snack.
Is there anything better than a breakfast buffet?
There's all sorts of things better than a breakfast buffet.
Name two.
I don't know. Winning the lottery and a sloppy blowjob.
Fair.
Cubs winning the World Series.
Oh my God. If the Cubs won a World Series while I was eating a breakfast buffet,
I don't think that's going to work. They'll be playing at nighttime.
I was in Korea.
Okay. If the Cubs make it to the World Series this year, we're going to have to figure out how to get you some sort of breakfast buffet.
Oh, man.
What if we made our own? Does that count?
Yeah, but you got to make an absurd amount of food.
Yeah. We'll have a Cubs watch party where we serve breakfast food.
Well, I mean, they play in Japan in a month, so we could do a breakfast buffet at 5 a.m.
Is that what time they play?
Yeah.
Oh, it'll be fun to wake up early for that one.
Yeah, I'm going to turn it on and then just watch Ian Happ lead off, ground into a double play, even though he let off, and then fall asleep and wake up. They're down 17-0.
You're like 3 hours late for work.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
Classic. Well, apparently you can't choke your girlfriend after farting, and she accuses you of smelling it bad. So the more you know, here on No Brains, No Headache podcast. Like I said, Matt's got a show at Laughing Sun on Tuesday, February 25th.
Today.
So that's literally the day of the release of this episode. So if you're jonesing for some medium grade comedy, hit up Matt's show. Other than that, we don't really have much planned for No Brains, No Headache wise.
Feels nice.
It does. We do need a break, chill out for a little bit. I'm headed to Arizona later this week.
I'm headed to Austin.
So, Hasta La Vista. Matt's going to Austin. But don't worry, we still have a new episode coming out next week. We will have Zach Rittenhouse in studio for an interview. Always good to see him, catch up with him. And we're pretty much just going to talk to him the whole time because I didn't prepare a single thing for this episode.
Yeah, well, you live and you learn. Still went for an hour.
Yeah, here we are coming up on an hour. But Matt, how can our listeners get more involved with the No Brains, No Headache community?
Just follow us on social media. Leave us a rating and review on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And you can subscribe to YouTube and watch complete episodes, and Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube. Follow us. No Brains, No Headache.
That's our show for this week. Thank you so much for listening. Stay fresh. Up next, episode 239.
You're watching Channel 4 News with 5-time Emmy Award-winning anchor Ron Burgundy and Tits McGee.
Good evening, San Diego. I'm Veronica